Lyrics World. Chapter 17. It was hard work. Matching symbols to letters, letters to words. Anakin felt his eyesight beginning to blur. Hours passed and night blanketed the great temple. Anakin and Tahiri hadn't slept since they'd returned to the Jedi Academy. Anakin had written down the symbols from deep within Sistra. He'd written down Aragon's words. But so far they weren't having any luck matching symbols to letters. It just didn't make any sense. No matter what they tried, they ended up with gibberish. "We have to get some sleep," Anakin finally stated. "Let's try one more time," Tahiri coaxed. "We've got to be doing something wrong." She stared at the lines before her tired eyes, then tried to insert letters for symbols from left to right in the pattern of basic. She even tried to scramble the symbols, replacing first and third letters, to see if they made more sense. Nothing. "We're missing something," Tahiri grumbled. "It's no use," Anakin sighed. "The Masasi were a different race than we are. They used symbols, but that doesn't mean that each stood for one letter like it does in basic. There's an infinite number of possibilities to translate. It's going to take us weeks, months, maybe years," he cried in exasperation. Anakin was so caught up in his frustration that he didn't hear the door to his room quietly open. "I can't sleep," Sano whispered from the entrance. Anakin's head snapped up and Tahiri whirled around to face the door. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to startle you." Sana apologized. "It's just that it's hard to sleep in a new place." "It's okay, Sana," Tahiri said gently as she helped Anakin gather the crumpled papers before them. One sheet dropped from her grasp and wafted gently through the air. She watched as it floated, a white bird borne on the winds of chance. The paper landed face up by Sana's bare feet. Sana bent over and picked up the sheet. She moved forward to hand it back to Tahiri. "What is this?" she asked. "It's just something Aragon told us," Anakin explained as he reached for the paper. Sana drew it back toward her and curiously studied the scribblings of basic. Finally, a look of understanding spread across her fine features. Sana read out loud the words, "Peace to all." Then she giggled. "What's so funny?" Tahiri asked. "It's just that I've never seen basic written so strangely," Sana replied. "What do you mean?" Anakin asked intently. "Well, you've lined the letters up so that Aragon's words run from left to right," Sana explained. "But on Yavin 8, we spell our words from top to bottom." Sana crouched by Anakin and took the writing tool from his hand. She turned the sheet over and scribbled one word of Aragon's message down. Then she held the sheet up for Anakin and Tahiri. P-E-A-C-E, the letters read. Anakin's ice-blue eyes met Tahiri's blazing green ones. The message they exchanged was clear. "This is it. I'll walk you back to your room and sit with you until you fall asleep," Tahiri offered Sana as she took the paper from the girl and casually passed it down to Anakin. Then she took Sana's hand. "I had trouble sleeping my first night too," she said kindly. Her words drifted softly through the hallway as she led Sana back to her room. Anakin spread his papers back out and began to match symbols to letters. He turned when he heard a soft sound behind him. The Jedi Master Ikrit had appeared on his window ledge. The Master sat silently, watching Anakin with round brown eyes. The young Jedi turned back to his work. It makes sense, Anakin thought to himself. The Masasi must have learned the pattern that the melodies wrote in, and assumed that others would write in the same way. That was why they carved their symbols vertically instead of horizontally, left to right. Anakin watched the words of the ancient Masasi from the palace of the Woolamander come to life beneath his writing tool. By the time Tahiri had returned to his room, he was finished with the translation. "Did it work?" Tahiri asked breathlessly as she slipped into the stone chair across from her friend. Anakin didn't answer. Instead, he held up the sheet before him and began to read out loud. "Peace to all. We are the Masasi. Our children have been imprisoned by the evil Jedi Knight Exar Kun. Locked deep within this palace, hidden in the glittering sands of a golden globe, they await. The crystal that holds them prisoner can only be unlocked by children, strong in the Force and dedicated to the battle of good over evil. If you are the ones, enter the globe and lead our children to freedom." "We're the ones, aren't we?" Tahiri whispered. "Yes," Anakin replied, his ice-blue eyes flashing. "We're the ones." On the window ledge, Ikrit watched. The Force was strong in these two children, he knew. But he knew, too, of the dangers that lay ahead. End of Star Wars. Junior Jedi Knights Book 2, Lyrics World, by Nancy Richardson.